Okay, hello everybody. My name is Jameson Chase Young. This is Coins and History. And today we'll be talking about the very beautiful 1945 Walking Liberty half dollar San Francisco Mint. Now, obviously the Walking Liberty half dollars are some of the most pretty coins that the United States has ever came out with. It's probably, why they brought them back for the American Silver Eagles that everybody loves. These half dollars spent 31 years being the half dollar for the United States from 1916 to 1947. They replaced the Barber half dollar and they got replaced by the Benjamin Franklin half dollar. And this pretty design that everybody loves so much was made by a man named Adolf Weinman. Although the 19 teens and the 1920s, they're a lot more rare, they're a lot more older, so they cost more. But I personally like to attach the history to a coin. But regardless, the 1945 is a very common year. You can usually get them for a couple few bucks over spot. But I'll go over the specs with you. The 1945 San Francisco Mint, they minted in San Francisco 10,156,000 of them. And the 1945 total was 51,624,800. That is the third most. Yeah, third most, because the only 2 years that beat it out were 1942 and 1943. 1942, they made almost 71.5 million. 1943, they made almost 78 million. Its diameter is 30.6. Its weight is 12.5 grams. It's 90% silver, 10% copper, and it has a silver content of 0.36169. 0.36. That's all you need to know. But and now I'd like to talk to you about the world that the 1945 came from. It was obviously it's one of the most historical years in all of human history, arguably the most historical year in human history, and it was early on kicked off by the horrific battle at Iwo Jima. On Iwo Jima, we put 75,000 Marines onto that island, and nearly 7,000 of them were killed. Out of the 22,000 Japanese defenders, 99% of them fought to the death. Only like 200 of them were rescued, so to speak. The initial landing happened on February 19th. The battle resulted in a super costly victory for the United States Marines. It was the only island battle in the Pacific where the United States actually took more casualties than the Japanese did. With the 6,800 people killed and the 20-some thousand wounded, we took a little over 26,000 casualties. The Japanese took 22,000. Now granted, most all their casualties were people killed in action, where most of ours were wounded. But regardless, it was the only island battle in the Pacific where the United States took more casualties than the Japanese. It's obviously like the most famous iconic thing comes from that the Marines waving or raising the flag on Iwo Jima. That was heavily depicted in Clint Eastwood's movie. The battle's importance was Iwo Jima was directly in between the Mariana Islands and the Japanese home islands. So the Japanese would use it as an advance notice and radio ahead when the United States' long-range bombers were coming. The two most notable characters from the battle is one, this Japanese general. I'm going to put his name up on the screen because I don't know how to pronounce it. He actually spent several years living in the United States. He knew the United States really well. It's crazy when you look at where he all lived. He lived and traveled almost all over the place in the United States, and he knew that he could not stop the United States military from taking Iwo Jima. His plan wasn't even to try and stop them. He just wanted to inflict as many casualties because he kind of knew that the United States, we have a problem stomaching too many casualties, and he thought if he could inflict enough casualties, that would make us think twice and not want to invade the mainland of Japan. And he had his soldiers dig several miles, over 11 miles of underground tunnels on this little tiny island. That way they could move underground without being traced. They could get behind U.S. Marines without being traced. He had hundreds of pillboxes. A lot of those were connected by tunnels. And the other most notable name is John Basilone, otherwise known as Manila John. He was known as Manila John because he was in the Army in the 1930s before he was in the Marine Corps, and he was stationed in the Philippines, so he got the nickname Manila John. He originally won the Congressional Medal of Honor on the island of Guadalcanal. After that, they sent him home. He came home to a celebrity welcome. Like literally, there were celebrities who wanted to hang out with him. He had like all sorts of types of, like connections from there. He had like movie connections and stuff. He was told that the war overseas was over for him, but he kept wanting to go back to the Pacific Theater because he thought that's where he belonged. Like he was an average guy and he just wanted to be in the fight with the average guys. They even offered him an officer commission and he turned it down. They offered him a cushy desk job and he turned it down. And eventually they approved him to go back overseas to the Pacific Theater. And unfortunately, on the first day of Iwo Jima, he was killed. That day, though, he also won the Iron Cross, making him the only U.S. serviceman in World War II to win all three: the Congressional Medal of Honor, the Iron Cross, and the Purple Heart. That is the world that the 1945 San Francisco Mint Walking Liberty $50 came from. So too bad that had to happen, but regardless, it's a very, very amazing year in human history. And I hope you enjoyed that little mini documentary. My name's Jameson Chase Young. This is Coins in History. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.